I have a very short homily today, the reason being that, well, do you believe in Murphy's Law? That if something can go wrong, it will, and really at the worst possible time? Well, that happened here on Friday as we're approaching a very busy weekend. We had a substantial funeral in the morning, a big wedding in the afternoon, another funeral yesterday morning, and it was hot as Hades outside, and guess what? The air conditioning failed. So, not being an optimist, I said, I bet we're going to be sweltering on Sunday too. So I kept it purposefully short. I hope you won't mind. When Christians were finally able to build houses of worship starting in the late 3rd and early 4th century, they used a model not like the Roman temples, but of the prominent public buildings that were constructed for large gatherings across the Roman Empire, known as basilicas. But as Christians adopted these, they also adapted them, in that they divided them into 3 distinct parts. At one end, the presbyterium, or what we would call the sanctuary, where indeed the altar and the ambo would be located, and where the clergy were usually seated in a semicircular apse. And at the other end, the entrance hall, or the narthex. But in the middle was the most important part of the building, where the majority of worshipers would indeed be present to participate in the Mass. And that they named the nave, as we still call it today. Yet, note that the name of the largest central section of the church comes from a Latin word, nave, which means ship or boat, thus intentionally expressing the idea that as the disciples of Jesus Christ, we are called to sail together in that same vessel, which is the bark of St. Peter. So today's gospel then provides us some simple but important reminders. Indeed, like the boat of Peter on the Sea of Galilee, the bark that is the church is not always navigating with the benefit of daylight, but must sail sometimes in the seeming darkness of night. This analogy reminds us that the circumstances, be these social, cultural, or political, in which the church must operate, are at times more confusing than they are clear. The world cannot be depended upon to provide reliable visibility, and so sometimes the church is challenged to stay on course. We can see this in the different ideas and consequent movements and counter-movements that tend at times to rely on current fads in thinking or acting, or on exaggerated piety than sound theology. And when they go unchecked, they can indeed cause the church to veer off course. As with Peter's boat in the gospel, sometimes the church must try to stay afloat in very stormy seas, when it can be, as it has been, badly rocked by scandals, nearly swamped by opposition, and almost broken apart, as even now, by schisms. Consequently, some who should be with us because they signed on at baptism and re-upped their commitment at confirmation choose instead to get out of the boat because the ride isn't as smooth as they thought, nor does it feel as comfortable as they prefer. Yet like Peter, when he stepped out of the boat and took his eyes off the Lord, they risk perishing in the rough seas from which the boat is designed to save them. It is when we realize that in spite of the stormy winds and turbulent waves, of the difficulties that may assail it, Christ is present as promised in this, the boat of St. Peter. And if we, as the passengers, would but continually reaffirm our faith and the truth that he is the Lord, the only Son of God, we will be saved, as in the end the seas will surely calm, as the great and endless day will ultimately dawn, the one on which we will finally arrive at the safe harbor to which the Lord himself intends to navigate us. So let nothing frighten or greatly disturb us. He commanded us, as he commanded Peter, "Be not afraid." Let nothing shake us or deter us from remaining in the boat that belongs to Peter and is captained by his successors. For now, as then, this is the bark which the Lord himself has promised to travel in, and we should have no doubt that he is continuing to do so until its voyage through time is successfully complete, and we are all finally and forever safe on heaven's shore.